Gotcha that time.
There you go.
Nice fish, whatever it is. Nice pumpkin seed.
There you go, Dan.
A little something different.
Yeah. How are we doing today, guys? Dan and Alex and Dan here, and we are doing something a little different today. We are drifting for panfish. With panfish, usually a lot of people think that you gotta either anchor, or you've seen in our videos before. There we go. We've
Another pumpkin seed.
Not a huge one, but still some nice colors to it as well. But in a previous video, we were fishing really shallow shorelines, and we were using the trolling motor to help keep us on track. Well, today we've been struggling to find fish. We started shallow, and we've been working our way deeper, and we're having some cold front conditions come through, which has influenced the way that we're fishing. So stay tuned, and we'll show you how we're doing it today. Let's get back out there. Oh, you're already out there.
I'm already out there.
I gotta get back out there. There's a hit.
I'm gonna open that up. You do you.
Okay, I will. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Feels pretty decent.
That's one of those purple gills.
Yes.
So we've been calling them purple gills because the color of a lot of the bluegill we're pulling out of here is just a really unique hue of like blue violet. Like it's just a really cool color, and I don't know if that's tannins in the water or them coming off spawn or what's causing it, but it's just a really cool shade of blue. So what we're doing as far as location today, as we mentioned earlier, we've been having trouble finding fish here the last week and a half, week. Checking for that shallow bite. The fish, they're coming off spawn, and
well, it's mid-June. The water temp is 71.5 degrees. So they're definitely post-spawn.
And we thought we'd try shallow. That didn't pan out. We went deeper. That didn't pan out. We went clear up to shore again. That didn't work.
We broke out the camera. Which helped us identify that the fish, in fact, weren't up shallow. And we tried everything we could think of. We tried pulling the camera through bulrush. We tried pulling the camera through the weeds.
Pond weeds at the bottom of the break. And all else failed, and we decided those fish might just be out in the middle of nowhere. And so we came out in the very middle of the lake here and found fish. And what we're doing is just letting the wind push us over deeper water, kind of, like I said, seemingly in the middle of nowhere. There's nobody else out here in the middle of nothing, and we're turning fish real consistently. You know, why these fish are out here, I mean, there's obviously something that they're eating on, that they're either not finding shallow or, oh, there's a hit. Got some weight to it.
So yeah, they're obviously feeding. They're definitely active fish. They're the most productive fish that we've found all day. That's a decent one.
Yeah.
Grubby though.
Yeah, a lot of parasite loading going on with some of these fish, but.
And we're dealing, like I said earlier, we're dealing with cold front conditions. You know, is that just that the fish are in a negative mood, and so they pushed over and suspending over deeper water? Very well could be. You know, we can't really explain why they're doing it.
We don't know why they're out here, but they're out here,
Yeah.
and it's a unique way of fishing because we're just casting into the wind and blowing across the middle of the lake, just kind of jigging as we go, and. You know, you don't have to cast a whole bunch. You just kind of let your jig drift at the same speed as the boat, and it seems to be paying off. I don't know. It's a different way of fishing, and I'm glad we figured it out because it was a pretty small bite early on. I'll take this any day.
Yeah. There we go. Nice little crappie.
That is a nice looking crappie.
There we go.
Perfect for the frying pan.
Absolutely.
Like Smitty always says.
Not a huge one, you guys, but definitely just a nice little eater. If you're keeping your limit, it'd be a perfect one for the live well.
Yep.
So we'll take a look at what we're doing for presentation today, guys. We're using just a very, very simple rig. Like we said, since we're drifting, we can't really, do much else. We're just dragging it behind the boat, or alongside the boat as the wind pushes us. And we're using just an underspin, if you will, with just a little grub. And there's kind of a few reasons why we're doing this. Because we're drifting, because we're covering water, we know that the grub and the underspin as we go in the water is just going to kind of tingle and really get some attraction behind it. And also, we're not using any bobbers, which allows that to really suspend in the water column, and the wind kind of helps dictate how deep or how shallow it rises. Sometimes when there's a big gust of wind and we start drifting a little bit faster, we actually, maybe the lure's 5 feet under the water, but then when we slow down and there's calm, maybe it's 10 feet under the water.
And, we're just a short cast from the boat out, and we can kind of control where that's at on the column. If I want to come up higher, I lift the rod tip, and I've gained a bunch. I want to dig down deeper, I give it some slack and let that thing slow down. I can even use the reverse and let out a little more line if I want. But yeah, the wind's blowing at our faces as we stand here talking, and it's putting a bow in our line. And what that's doing is it's just causing that jig to just float right through the middle of the water column, just swimming along, and it's working great.
Yeah.
I mean, it keeps it above any weeds we might contact, but not right up on the surface, just kind of right under their noses. And if you look at my rig, I had this set up earlier when we were casting shoreline. It's the same thing essentially that Alex is running. The only difference here is I put a swivel about a foot up from my jig, and what that does is if I don't get that plastic seated on there just perfectly, a lot of times when you actually go through the motion of jigging and snapping, it'll cause that jig to come up crooked because it'll plane off of that plastic and it'll actually put a twist in your line. And it doesn't seem like much, on one jig, but you figure how many times you're snapping that rod tip on each retrieve.
Yep. Over
the course of a day, you might end up with a real bird's nest in your line. So I put that ball bearing swivel in there, and it allows it to spin and unspin, and I'm not getting that twist up in my line after a day of jigging. So it's just another little thing you can use out here in the open water. We're not doing a lot of snapping, so it's not that big of an issue. But something to keep in mind when you're fishing in shallow.
Mm-hmm.
Like a runabout.
There we go.
Ooh, rolling over.
Uh-oh. A little bluegill there. Once again, kind of like that bluish, purplish color.
Cool looking fish.
Dan, I'm really glad that we stuck it out and that we just kind of tried different areas.
Yeah, it's like, I really wish you folks could have heard some of the conversation between the two of us earlier. We were ready to take up golf and sell all our fishing stuff, and, just to let you guys know that everybody has days like that.
Yeah.
And, it seemed like this last week it's been the case with us more often than not, and it's easy to hang your head and, that confidence that sooner or later we're going to find them, and when we find them, it's going to be fast action. That really carried us through and kind of dominated the day. And yeah, I agree. I'm glad we once again we did the unconventional.
Yep.
A few weeks ago, in shallow was the ticket, and when that didn't pan out and all else failed, what did we do? We punted.
Yep, we did.
Got it away from our end zone and let the defense do the work.
Yeah.
And it just totally unconventional. Go out in the middle of nowhere and just drift like you're drifting for walleyes.
Yeah,
but pulling panfish out of the middle of nowhere.
That's kind of what I feel like it is. I feel like you were just drifting for walleyes.
Yeah,
just out in the middle.
It's definitely a unique way of going about it, and yeah, I agree. I'm glad we tried some unconventional tactics and that they're paying off for us.
If we put them in...
There's a fish. I don't know what it is. Feels like a good panfish. It's... Oh yeah.
Nice bluegill.
One of those really cool color ones again.
Oh, I missed that one. Yeah.
Very, Very pretty fish.
Purple.
Yeah.
There we go.
Ooh.
Feel very large. Yeah, maybe it does feel larger. What do we have?
Bass.
Oh,
I got one too.
Nice, Sonny.
Pumpkin.
Yeah.
Ow. Now I'm into the drag peelers. Oh, it's got enough weeds on him. Yeah, he's not as big as,
that's pretty cool.
as big as the one you caught, but he got down in those weeds.
Yeah, just a nice little pumpkin seed.
2 pumpkin seeds.
2 pumpkin
are
seeds.
in the boat right now.
Yeah. Him back in there. Hi, buddy.
Well, I think that's going to do it for today.
Yeah.
The standard double. Like, we've doubled up how many times today? That's a great way.
Yeah.
Great spot to end it right there. So, to recap.
Yeah.
Once again, you know, going against conventional wisdom sealed the deal for us.
It did. It helped save the day.
You know, everything in our gut told us, go replicate what worked last time. And where did that get us?
Nothing. It didn't get us.
New day, new conditions.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm glad we, 1, stuck to our guns, and 2, we had the wherewithal to swallow our pride, pump that football, and just go do what we do and just fly by the seat of our pants, so to speak.
And I'd say the biggest thing for me today was how we used the camera to confirm that when we weren't getting bites up shallow, we took a half hour, maybe an hour even, and just kind of went around and just checked different haunts, different shallow bays, bulrush, you name it, to confirm that it wasn't just a presentation issue, but it was actually the fish weren't there. It was a location issue.
And how many times, you know, whatever we're fishing for, do we sit there and say, gosh, they're not biting, there must have been a bug hatch or whatever.
Yeah.
Just to stick a camera down there and see and confirm for a fact it's not a bunch of negative fish sitting on the bottom tight-lipped.
Yep.
It's no fish in there. You know, would we see 3 fish in that first half hour or whatever? And it's like, to see that on camera, it's like, you know, how many hours? We spent 30 minutes with the camera to confirm there wasn't anything in it. We could have spent 3 hours working that whole point and been like, wow, let's try another presentation. Let's try something, and to use that camera to our advantage.
Yeah, really helped.
That really helped. So, until next time, I'm Dan.
And I'm Alex.
We'll see you on the water.
Yeah. Put these rods away in here.